There's a quantum field of consciousness that is far greater than humanity, and most people can agree that nature is alive, but haven't heard of the discoveries about plant consciousness, global resonance, and quantum manifestation, and other concepts that could completely change humanity. Today we'll be discussing some of the most amazing discoveries involving Cleve Baxter, Dr. Michael Persinger, Dr. David Hawkins, as well as Dr. Joe Dispenza, and we'll also be talking about the Maharishi effect. But first, I would like to welcome you to my YouTube channel, Divine Magic Arts, where creative minds unite and channel their divine magic to create arts. My name is Melody. I'm a fashion designer, digital artist, musician, painter, and creative writer. Most of you already know that I design all of the fashion that you see me modeling on Divine Magic Art. I've already posted many videos about consciousness, manifestation, the quantum field, and laws of the universe. However, this video will be really focused on scientific discoveries that I've never discussed before. Cleve Baxter was a polygraph expert for the CIA who made a discovery in 1966 that shaped decades of controversy, curiosity, and wonder about the possibility of plant consciousness. Cleve Baxter attached electrodes of a polygraph to the leaves of a Dracaena plant, expecting to measure changes in water movement. He instead noticed patterns on the polygraph that resembled human emotional responses. Out of curiosity, he imagined burning the plant's leaf with a match, and at the exact moment of his thought, before any physical action, the polygraph needle spiked dramatically, as if the plant was sensing and reacting to his intention instantly. This shocked him. No harmful action was taken yet, but the plant seemed to register fear at the possibility of harm. Baxter spent decades experimenting with plants using polygraphs and other methods. Cleve Baxter proposed that plants and possibly all living cells are conscious, sentient, and interconnected. They can register human thoughts, intentions, and emotions instantly. Consciousness is not limited to brains, but exists as a field that all of life taps into. And this overlaps with quantum theories of consciousness that reality is responsive to thought and intention. So now that we've addressed the other concepts about consciousness, I want to talk about the main keys that are discussed in experiments involving plant consciousness. So number 1, primary perception. Plants appeared to sense not only their caretakers' emotions, but also external events. For instance, if shrimp were suddenly killed in boiling water in a nearby room, plants often registered strong responses at the exact moment of the event, even without direct contact. Number 2, distance experiments. Plants hooked up to polygraphs reportedly reacted to the emotional states or sudden stress of their caretakers from miles away. This suggested a form of non-local connection, something akin to quantum entanglement in consciousness. Number 3, precognition and future potentials. Baxter observed that plants sometimes reacted before an event occurred, as if tuning into the field of potential futures. This ties into what is called the pre-stimulus response phenomenon, seen in parapsychology, where the body can show measurable reactions to future stimuli milliseconds or even seconds before they occur. Mainstream science criticized Baxter's work as unrepeatable under strict laboratory conditions. Skeptics argue his results could be due to uncontrolled variables like static electricity, vibrations, or random polygraph noise, yet his experiments inspired a whole generation of consciousness researchers, parapsychologists, and even the book The Secret Life of Plants, which I think was 1973. Whether or not every detail of Baxter's experiments withstands modern scrutiny, his work still illuminates profound truths that all life is interconnected and consciousness exists beyond the brain. Plants and humans may share an energetic form of communication, and every living system may have awareness. If plants can sense future potentials, then this confirms that time itself may not be linear, but responsive to intention and possibility. In essence, Baxter's studies invite us to remember that we live in a living universe where even plants may be conscious partners instead of inanimate objects, and our thoughts ripple into the quantum fabric of potentials. Cleve Baxter's work becomes even more fascinating when it connects with the bigger concepts of collective consciousness and the quantum field. Baxter's experiments hinted that plants are not just aware of their own immediate environment, they appear to be plugged into a larger field of awareness. When a plant reacted to the boiling shrimp in another room, or to the stress of its caretaker from miles away, it was as if it was responding through an invisible network of information that many call the collective consciousness, the shared field of thoughts, emotions, and energy that unites all beings. Plants weren't just sensing Baxter's physical actions, but also his intentions, which belong to the inner, non-local realm of the mind. This suggests that every living thing may act like a node or neuron in a planetary brain, exchanging subtle information instantaneously. Connecting all of this with quantum theory, particles don't exist as fixed things until observed. They exist as waves of possibility in a unified field. This field is non-local, beyond space and time. Changes in one place can instantaneously affect another, as seen in quantum entanglement. If consciousness interacts with the quantum field, as researchers like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. David Hawkins, and Dr. Michael Persinger and others suggest, then thoughts and intentions might influence probabilities to collapse into reality. Baxter's discovery that plants react before an event is similar to the pre-stimulus responses in humans and the idea that all living systems can tap into the quantum field of potential futures. If plants, humans, and all cells are sensing and communicating through the same underlying field, then this could imply a few concepts. Consciousness is universal, not a byproduct of brains, but a fundamental property of the cosmos. We are not separate. Your thoughts ripple through the field and are felt by life around you. The collective consciousness shapes reality, not just individually, but as a species. Our beliefs, emotions, and collective focus can shift the trajectory of events that occur throughout the universe. Your intention interacts with the quantum field, and it responds by collapsing possibilities into actual events. Baxter's work hints that Earth itself may be like a living nervous system, with plants as sensitive antennae that tune into the emotional and energetic state of the planet. Just as you sense the moods of others, plants may be feeling and responding to the energetic vibrations of the collective consciousness on Earth. Your thoughts and feelings participate in a co-creative symphony. Perhaps even a houseplant might be your silent witness and co-manifester responding to the unseen field you broadcast into the universe. As I mentioned earlier, Baxter's experiments hinted that plants are not just aware of their own immediate environment. They appear to be plugged into a larger field of awareness. Dr. Michael Persinger was a Canadian neuroscientist who ventured into territory bridging science, consciousness, and the quantum field, though his approach was more neurological and geophysical rather than botanical. He's best known for his work on how the brain interacts with fields of energy, and his research gave some of the most compelling hints that collective consciousness could exist and be linked to the quantum field. Persinger believed that the brain is both a receiver and a transmitter of information, not sealed off in isolation, but embedded in Earth's electromagnetic environment. He proposed that the same energy fields that permeate space, including the quantum vacuum, could serve as a medium for inter-brain communication, a physical basis for collective consciousness. He saw consciousness as a product of fields interacting, not just neurons firing. In other words, your thoughts may actually echo in a unified field where other brains or even other living systems can receive or resonate with the energetic signal. Persinger developed a helmet that was famously called the God helmet, which exposed the brain to low-level complex magnetic fields. When wearing this helmet, many participants reported mystical experiences, a sense of the presence of God, and a more powerful connection to the universe. These experiments suggested that our brains are wired to access or perceive larger fields of information, and that electromagnetic environments might facilitate that. This was an epiphany for Persinger, that perhaps mystical, spiritual, or collective experiences might be field-mediated brain states into greater levels of consciousness. Persinger studied correlations between geomagnetic storms, which are fluctuations in Earth's magnetic field, and human experiences, including mystical visions, increased creativity, or global mood shifts. He found that during times of unusual geomagnetic activity, telepathic effects increase in lab tests. This pointed to a possibility that our brains may synchronize more easily during certain geomagnetic conditions, like tuning forks resonating in the same air. This became a foundation for his belief in a global consciousness network. Persinger also ran experiments regarding non-local information transfer where two people were placed in separate electromagnetically shielded rooms. Under certain conditions, brainwave patterns in one person appeared to correlate with patterns in the other, even when no physical signals could be detected. He suggested that this could be a form of non-local quantum information transfer through the vacuum or electromagnetic fields. This could be a real mechanism for telepathy and collective mind phenomena. Persinger theorized that the quantum vacuum, or the underlying fabric of reality, could store and transmit the information of all minds and act as a cosmic library where every thought, memory, and event leaves an imprint. The brain's electromagnetic patterns might resonate with this field, enabling information to flow non-locally. This aligns strongly with ideas in quantum mysticism and the law of attraction, the notion that the field of potential responds to coherent intentional energy. If Persinger's model is right, then meditation, prayer, and synchronized intention could have measurable effects on the physical world because they organize brain field coherence. Global meditations or group focuses might literally shift probabilities or collective emotional climates. All of us and nature, as Cleve Baxter hinted, are not isolated units but co-creators of reality through a shared quantum electromagnetic field. Where Baxter suggests that plants can feel human intentions, Persinger gave a neuroscientific framework for how humans can feel and tune into each other's intentions. Both converge on the same concept that consciousness is not localized in the brain and more like a universal field of awareness that manifests experiences. The Maharishi effect is one of the most famous attempts to show that a focus group of people can measurably shift the energetic field of society itself. It was named after Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the founder of Transcendental Meditation. It's more commonly known as TM, so I'll be saying that throughout this video. Maharishi believed that large groups practicing deep meditation could radiate an energetic signature of coherence, harmony, and peace into the collective consciousness. In the 1970s and 1980s, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi taught that if at least 1% of a population practiced meditation, the social indicators in that region, such as crime rates, conflict, and even accidents, would improve. Later, research refined the number to the square root of 1% of a population to produce a significant effect. For example, in a city of 1 million, about 100 people meditating together could have an impact. This became known as the Maharishi effect, the idea that a small, coherent group can raise the energetic vibration of the larger population. Several TM-related studies have been published, though controversial. For example, in Washington, D.C., 1993, over 4,000 trained meditators gathered for several weeks, and during their presence, violent crime reportedly dropped by 23% compared to predictions. Independent statisticians were also involved in this as well. In Lebanon in the 1980s, during intense civil war, small groups of meditators were brought together. The studies claimed reduced war deaths and increased cooperative behaviors while the groups were active. Also, there have been global peace assemblies, like groups meditating worldwide were associated with dips in global terror events and international conflict indicators in some published analyses. Maharishi and TM scientists explain that individual minds are like tuning forks. When enough minds resonate in deep coherence, they can produce a strong field effect, much like synchronized lasers are stronger than scattered light. This coherence resonates in the collective consciousness, quieting chaos and elevating order, harmony, and peace. Coherent mental and emotional energy interacts with the quantum field of all potential, resolving turbulence in the field. The Maharishi effect mirrors quantum field theory and Dr. Persinger's ideas that consciousness is non-local and can affect probabilities. The attunement of nervous systems through meditation produces a ripple effect that influences others who are not meditating. In quantum terms, their coherent brainwaves are imprinting information into the collective consciousness, similar to the idea of morphic resonance, developed by Rupert Sheldrake, which, simplified, means once enough individuals hold a pattern, it becomes easier for others to experience that pattern. If Cleve Baxter showed that plants respond to intentions, and Dr. Michael Persinger showed that minds can be quantum entangled, then the Maharishi effect shows how intentional coherence at a larger scale can uplift an entire population. It suggests that peace is not just political, it's energetic, and cultivating inner harmony contributes to global harmony. World development may be less about force and more about field coherence and synergy to elevate collective consciousness. If you're still wondering what is transcendental meditation really, this is what happens in the body and mind when it is practiced. Unlike concentration-based practices where you focus on the breath, a candle, or visualization, TM uses a mantra, a sound or vibration without meaning that is repeated silently in the mind. The key idea is effortless transcendence. Instead of trying to control thoughts, you let them settle naturally, like particles sinking to the bottom of water until the mind becomes clear and still. The mantra is gently repeated internally. It's not forced. It's more like allowing the mind to follow a subtle vibration. Over time, the mantra fades into more subtle levels of thought until even the mantra itself dissolves into pure awareness by transcending thought. The mind then drops into what Maharishi called transcendental consciousness, a state of awareness that is alert yet profoundly restful, beyond ordinary thinking. This state is sometimes described as pure being or pure consciousness. Science has measured significant physiological changes that occur during TM, which are different from ordinary rest or sleep. Here are the 10 main effects. The body enters a state of rest deeper than sleep while the mind remains alert. Oxygen consumption drops significantly, more than during sleep. Muscle tension decreases. Breathing and heart rate slow down, allowing the nervous system to release stress that has been stored in the body. EEG studies have showed increased alpha and theta brainwaves, which are associated with relaxation, creativity, and inner calm. Also, coherence across brain hemispheres could be observed, meaning different parts of the brain begin working together in harmony. And number 6, the default mode network, which is the brain system tied to self-referential thinking and mental chatter, quiets down. Number 7, levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, decrease, reducing anxiety and reactivity. Levels of serotonin, dopamine, and endorphins often increase, contributing to feelings of happiness, clarity, and emotional stability. Number 8, blood vessels dilate as stress reduces, improving circulation and blood pressure. And cholesterol levels may improve with consistent practice. Also, heart rate variability improves, which is a measure of how adaptable and resilient the nervous system is. 9. Long-term practitioners show reduced risk of heart disease, hypertension, and stroke. And finally, number 10. Some studies suggest that TM may actually reduce biological aging markers, slowing down cell damage linked to stress, and there's evidence that it influences gene expression, especially genes linked to stress response and inflammation. While the science shows what happens in the body, the inner experience is often described as a sense of boundless calm and peace, a feeling of being expanded or connected beyond the ego self. Many will experience heightened clarity, intuition, creativity, and a reset of the nervous system, like being revitalized. When one person heals, grows, and elevates their energy, it does not happen in isolation. We are all part of an interconnected field, biologically, psychologically, and energetically. A shift in one individual ripples outward like waves in water, influencing families, communities, and even the collective consciousness. Transcendental meditation gently guides the mind beyond thought into pure awareness, while the body enters a state of deep rest that reduces stress, balances hormones, harmonizes brain function, and enhances overall well-being. As I mentioned earlier, the introduction of group meditation in multiple cities was correlated with significant drops in crime rates. The before meditation comparison graphs show higher crime levels, while the after meditation results demonstrate measurable reductions. This illustrates how a relatively small group of people meditating in coherence can create a ripple effect that reduces societal stress and disharmony at large-scale levels. As many of you already understand, the heart and brain produce electromagnetic fields measurable outside of the body. The heart's field is especially powerful, about 100 times stronger electrically and 5,000 times stronger magnetically than the brain's field. This field extends several feet, if not farther, beyond the body, influencing those around us. When you heal trauma, reduce stress, and elevate your emotional state into love, gratitude, etc., your field becomes coherent, and others' nervous systems can literally tune into that harmony. When someone is anxious or stressed, their energy is chaotic and it often entrains others into tension. But when one person radiates calm, coherence, and grounded presence, they entrain others into peace. This is why one centered, heart-open being can calm a whole room. When you heal your own body, nervous system, and emotions, you break cycles of generational trauma and elevate the energy of interactions, relationships, communities, and eventually the collective consciousness. Every smile given, every calm presence offered, every moment of non-reactivity, every gesture of generosity is like illuminating a room. The ripple effect in action is when personal healing evolves into community shift, which evolves into global resonance. Dr. David R. Hawkins was a psychiatrist, spiritual teacher, and researcher best known for his book, Power versus Force. His work intended to map human consciousness on a scale of vibrational frequencies, showing how individual states of being affect not just personal life, but the collective field of humanity. Dr. Hawkins created a logarithmic scale of consciousness from 0 to 1000, where each level corresponds to a frequency of vibration associated with human emotions, states of mind, and spiritual awareness. Lower levels below 200, such as fear, shame, anger, grief, guilt, they are contracting, weakening states that drain your energy. Middle levels, which are, I think, 200 to like 499, like courage, neutrality, willingness. They are constructive, life-affirming states, and higher levels, which are 500 plus, like love, joy, peace, enlightenment. They are expansive states that radiate powerful coherence. Because the scale is logarithmic, not linear, a small upward shift in consciousness represents an exponentially greater influence on the collective. Hawkins proposed that a person vibrating at a high level of consciousness doesn't just uplift themselves, they affect the entire energetic field of humanity. He discovered that one individual vibrating at love, 500 or plus, counterbalances the negativity of 750,000 people below 200, which exists in fear, anger, or guilt. One person existing in joy, 540 or plus, counterbalances about 2 million people in lower states. One person in peace, 600 or plus, counterbalances 10 million people. One enlightened being existing at 700 to 1,000 plus counterbalances the negativity of 70 million to several hundred million people. This means that the inner work of one individual radiates outward on a massive scale because higher vibrations are exponentially stronger than lower ones. Just as one tuning fork can cause another to vibrate at its frequency, human beings resonate with each other's fields. Higher, coherent vibrations entrain and stabilize lower chaotic vibrations, like how one calm person can soothe a whole room of anxious people. As we know, the heart produces the strongest electromagnetic field in the body, measurable up to several feet away, and your coherence creates a counterbalance effect. Isn't that so beautiful that your elevation contributes to coherence in the collective consciousness, influencing people you may never meet? Our self-development work is not selfish, it's service. When you release trauma, forgive, and live in love, you are subsequently reducing the burden of global suffering. When you raise your energetic vibration, you are counterbalancing thousands who are trapped in fear, even if they don't know you exist. Your peaceful state quietly creates a ripple effect that you would be so proud to recognize for its absolute impact. And if nobody has told you yet today, I'm proud of you for all of the internal healing that nobody else notices, and I'd like to read something that I think will inspire you to recognize your impact more. As many of you have noticed, I love reading poetry from my sketchbook, so I'll be sharing another poem and also connecting all of the concepts that we discussed throughout this video. The poetic journey of healing. When you breathe deeply, releasing the worries of your mind, when you choose love over fear, you are not just healing yourself, you are shifting the entire collective. We are not isolated islands, we are the high tide of the ocean's currents of consciousness. Nature has always been our greatest teacher. The endless lessons have been received by Cleve Baxter. In the silent life of a leaf, electrodes trembled, recording a secret the world forgot. Nature's silent life still listens. Baxter's Dracaena plant never waited for the match to strike. It flinched at the thought, registering intention before action. Persinger tuned the human mind with magnetic waves until people sensed presences previously unseen by mankind. He found our thoughts are not contained in a bone cage, they travel through fields as vast as stars remain ancient. And in the quiet realm of meditation, thousands of hearts elevate in unison. We may close our eyes not to escape, but to transmit peace and synchronize our minds into a higher timeline. The Maharishi effect echoes the lesson that a few coherent fields can uplift the collective. Plants and people, electrodes and brainwaves, all threads in the same unseen tapestry. The collective consciousness remembers every act of coherence, tuning Earth's heartbeat. Energy is the hidden architecture of reality. The Earth exists like a living nervous system, with plants as receptive intelligence, brains as transmitters, meditators as lighthouses, and so the invitation stands. Feel the earth under your bare feet, connect with compassionate community, meditate as if your energetic preservation could prevent a war, broadcast peace like a beacon, and watch the grafts bend, the plants react with delight, the future tilt toward light. This is the living web, the field of all possibilities, waiting for your frequency. You close your eyes, and the outer world softens into silence. The mantra whispers inside, a sound without meaning, like a pebble dropped into a still pond. Your thoughts ripple, expand, then dissolve into silence. The mind, once restless, begins to sink into stillness. Your breath slows, as though the universe is breathing through you. Every exhale releases a generation of burdens. The storm of cortisol fades, and in its place rises a golden tide, serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, the inner nectar of serenity. The brain, once divided, now shines with coherence. Waves of alpha synchronize across hemispheres, a dance of harmony, a symphony of thoughtless awareness. Deeper still, the mantra dissolves, and only silence remains. A silence that is not empty but full, alive, luminous, infinite. In this stillness, you are not the thinker, you are not the body, you are awareness itself. Eternal energy and intelligence beyond logic. Your world begins to emanate a vivid array of colors when you're coherent. Because when reaching the depths, you have remembered your source. One person standing in their light is like a candle in a dark library. Darkness itself cannot extinguish light, and your flame can ignite everyone you find. A healed mind becomes a lighthouse. Its beam reaches previously unseen shores, guiding ships that never knew who lit the flame. Internal transformation radiates outward and creates global impact. One person who chooses peace is like sun breaking through the storm clouds. You won't dim your light because you're destined to illuminate the whole horizon. Your evolution is not only your liberation, but a gift to humanity. Our energy creates a revolution in the invisible field, and everyone who rises into their greatest potential becomes someone else's greatest inspiration. By raising your energetic vibration, you don't just change your life, you become an advocate of collective elevation. If you're still here, thank you for being here. I truly hope you know how special and miraculous your presence is in the world, and if you need a reminder, I posted this video about the 10 scientific facts that prove you're a miracle. I think it's one of the most important creations I've ever shared with you all, and it can really inspire you to view yourself as a miracle. Anyway, thank you for being here. I would love to know any thoughts or ideas you have about all of this. If you resonate with my energy, be sure to subscribe to stay tuned. Until we meet again, remember that your life is full of divine magic.